So, a few months ago on the show, I introduced you to a mother and an activist named Amy Vilela. Amy's daughter Shalyn died because she had a medical emergency and was unable to provide proof that she had insurance when she visited an emergency room. And had she been seen, she would have been given basic medical screenings that would have undoubtedly saved her life. So, Amy has made it her life's mission to fight for Medicare for all, to make sure that what happened to her daughter never happens to another American ever again. Now, Amy showed up to a town hall over Mother's Day weekend to ask her representative, Ruben Kihuen of Nevada's 4th Congressional District, to co-sponsor H.R. 676. Now, this is a bill that expands Medicare to everyone, and it guarantees healthcare to every single American. Now, she actually shared her story about what happened to her daughter Shalyn with Ruben Kihuen, and he looked her in the face and basically said no, and he's not going to be co-sponsoring H.R. 676, regardless if it would save lives like the life of her daughter. Now, when I saw this, I was outraged, and I made a call to his office demanding that he co-sponsor the bill, and also a lot of my viewers followed suit, and we actually filled up both of his phones, and I warned him that progressives would primary him if he continued to defy the will of his constituents and voters across the country, and in July of this year, we made good on that promise. We actually did find someone to primary Ruben Kihuen, and that individual is the very mother, Amy Vilela, who we looked in the face and said no to. So, ever since she announced her campaign on July 19th on the Humanist Report, she has been campaigning like crazy, and she went on to join Justice Democrats, and she's now also running with brand new Congress. So, Amy Vilela is a phenomenal candidate and a huge threat to Ruben Kihuen, so you'd think that he would get scared and he'd co-sponsor H.R. 676 to make sure that he reduces this huge threat that is Amy Vilela, who could very well give him a run for his money, but he has still refused to get on board with Medicare for all, and as a result of his unwillingness to co-sponsor H.R. 676, he put his entire career in jeopardy. But if his refusal to represent his constituents doesn't end his career, something else probably will. Because in addition to him being a corrupt shill for the private insurance industry, there's reason to believe that he's also a pervert, because a bombshell story that was published in BuzzFeed News on December 4th may actually be the final nail in the coffin that is Ruben Kihuen's career. So this story reports that a woman named Samantha, who served as Kihuen's finance director to his 2016 congressional campaign, came forward with allegations alleging, quote, he repeatedly harassed and made sexual advances toward her during his 2016 congressional campaign and propositioned her for dates and sex despite her repeated rejections. On 2 occasions, she says he touched her thighs without consent. And this led to her abruptly quitting since he made her feel so uncomfortable on the job, which is understandable. Now, after these allegations came out, his office released a statement which says, the staff member in question was a valued member of my team. I sincerely apologize for anything that I may have said or done that made her feel uncomfortable. I take this matter seriously as it is not indicative of who I am. I was raised in a strong family that taught me to treat women with the utmost dignity and respect. I have spent my 15 years in public service fighting for women's equality, and I will continue to do so. Now, after this story was published, his office released a follow-up statement saying he wanted to, quote, make it clear that I don't recall any of the circumstances. So he basically tacitly admitted guilt, and then he went on to pretend as though he doesn't remember what she's talking about. So this is an allegation that is very credible, because there are witnesses who Samantha spoke with at the time when he made these advances to her that recall when she brought this to their attention. So this is bad. And it actually got worse for Kihuen after this, because Ben Ray Luan, who is actually the chairman of the DCCC, called on Ruben Kihuen to resign. And that's not all. House Minority Speaker Nancy Pelosi also called on him to resign, saying in Congress no one should face sexual harassment in order to work in an office or in a campaign. The young woman's documented account is convincing, and I commend her for the courage it took to come forward. In light of these upsetting allegations, Congressman Kihuen should resign. So at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that Ruben Kihuen's career is over. But this isn't a story about Ruben Kihuen. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I actually want to talk about Amy Vilela. Because since she's Ruben Kihuen's main primary opponent and his career is now effectively over, well, you'd think that she'd automatically become the Democratic Party's presumptive nominee in Nevada's 4th congressional district by default. However, that's not necessarily the case because local media is completely ignoring that she even exists. And the local Democratic Party in Nevada, who's still largely under the control of retired Senator Harry Reid, they're also trying to pretend as though Amy doesn't exist because they don't want someone like Amy Vilela in that seat to represent that district because she's refusing to take corporate money. She's not going to be a puppet of these corporate interests. She's actually going to represent the people. And that's a problem for a really corrupt state party that usually only tries to run corporate-friendly candidates that are willing to look out for their donors' best interests. Now, this should go without saying, but I'm not trying to capitalize on Samantha's misfortune in order to boost Amy Vilela's campaign. I wish that what happened to her never happened because, I mean, this poor girl, she's 25 years old. She is deciding to get into politics. She's working for a congressional campaign, and this happens to her. She's probably going to be discouraged to ever participate in politics again at a time when we need everyone to get involved in any way they possibly can. So I find this just so saddening. So in talking about Amy Vilela, I don't want it to seem as though I'm trying to exploit tragedy here because that's not the case. But at the same time, we need to be practical, and we've got to make sure that we're cognizant of the fact that the Nevadan Democratic Party will most likely still continue to ignore Amy Vilela, if not steamroll her, and try to position someone else to take over Ruben Kihuen's seat. And this could happen if we don't quickly move to legitimize her candidacy. I mean, the window of opportunity is going to be very small here. So the way that we can actually legitimize Amy Vilela is if we speak the only language politicians know to the Nevadan Democratic Party. We speak in terms of money. So if we donate to Amy Vilela's campaign right now, and she's actually able to raise a lot of money, this might dissuade the party from even trying to push a corporatist into that seat. So now is the time to make a difference and make some noise. If you go to amyforthepeople.com, you can donate to her campaign and make sure that nobody else is pushed into that position, that Amy Vilela rightfully becomes the Democratic Party's nominee in the 4th congressional district of Nevada. So Ruben Kihuen has to resign, and I really, really hope that the party makes it right with regard to Samantha, because that's so sickening. That's so sad that this young person will now probably never want to get back involved with politics again because of what happened to her, because of this asshole and what he did. But the Democratic Party, in the same breath, we're not going to let them get away with steamrolling Amy Vilela. We have to respect women, and we need to be aware of what they're going to do, and it's going to be shady, but Amy Vilela is the one who deserves that seat.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.